Thomas DeVerney, Mark Wallum. I thought this Saturday show started at 7:30. Yeah, a little harried today for reasons I will tell you because it's kind of funny. But I'll tell you that in just a second. The Preakness. There is a horse named Uncle Heavy who trains at parks and their racetrack. And it's so funny when I hear that name, it makes me think of a story about my Uncle Al, long gone. I've talked about my Uncle Al on radio. My Uncle Al was a diner guy. Like, he loved diners. And the only thing that he loved more than diners were ponies. He loved the ponies. But my Uncle Al worked at a diner on the Jersey side of the Holland Tunnel. And the story that I've told you on radio before is that he worked in the kitchen. And he was from Macedonia. And my brother, out of college, gets a job, and he's working for the old Ma Bell. Back in the days when Ma Bell had the dress code that was like the IBM dress code, you know, white shirt like this and a red or a blue tie and a blue sport coat. So my brother comes out of the city, you know, very proud, new job, he's looking good, and he stops in at the diner to say hello to Uncle Al and Alex Blazevich. And when he walks into the diner, you know, he's met by somebody there who, oh, no, we don't know any Al. There's no Al who works here. Nobody, no Al. And they thought that my brother was like from the government because of the way that he was dressed. And he had to convince them, you know, I'm his nephew. It's okay. It's all good. Blah, 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 blah. Finally, Uncle Al comes out in his apron. So Uncle Al is the same guy who his father had a bakery in, I think it was in Shenandoah. I think so. It was up in the coal regions of Pennsylvania. And one day a customer comes back with a loaf of bread and says, you know, look at this, there's a roach in it. And Uncle Al's father famously plucks it out, eats it, and says, that was no roach, that was a raisin. Who knows if that story is true, but it's a great story. Michael, what the hell's going on? Why are you talking about your Uncle Al and a horse called Uncle Heavy and Parks Casino? It's all because I remember the day when we were down the shore and Uncle Al had to leave Ocean City because he had a tip on a horse called Little Mahoney, who was running at the Atlantic City racetrack. Anyway, Uncle Heavy trains at parks. That's what I wanted you to know. And I'm sure Uncle Al would have laid some wager on Uncle Heavy. Parks Casino, it's my casino of choice. Dustin Lynch, September 21, Clay Walker, Cameron Marlowe, Dylan Scott, Southern Rock with the Marshall Tucker Band. I mean, holy smokes, everything is going on there all summer long. 3,200 state-of-the-art slots, 115 live table games, a beautiful poker room, lots of fun. You got to be 21 for the casino. Snooki and Joey, their It's Happening podcast, the Juicy Scoop Experience with Heather McDonald. If you've got a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Parks Casino, this is how you win. So I was telling you a moment ago about why it's a harried kind of a morning. It's because I just did an interview, somewhat unexpectedly, with Robert F. Kennedy Jr., and now the funny part of the story, do you remember on radio, there was a day when I did an interview or a YouTube live, and I was using my iPad as I'm doing now, and I had a lisp. Everybody said that my S's sounded like a lisp. Some people wondered if I'd been drinking. My answer was not yet. So with PJ from Creative, we were all set to do the RFK Jr. interview via my laptop because it's got a really good camera on it. And then PJ said to me, uh-oh, your lisp is back. So we switched over to my iPad and the lisp was there too. So now we go to the iPhone and the lisp is gone. So I end up recording the interview with Bobby via my iPhone, but he's got me beat because when I connected with him, he's in Florida, flying out to Colorado, and he told me he was doing the interview from the lactate booth at the Orlando airport. I probably shouldn't say that, but so like he's in the booth and I'm on the iPhone. But it was very important to get him on record because I wanted to talk to him about the debates. Like the only thing that Trump and Biden agree on is they don't want RFK Jr. on that debate stage. And they got their wish. and they got their wish. So there's that. The thumbnail for this conversation today talked about Michael Cohen and the 14-year-old. That sounds rather ominous. No, I didn't mean it like that. But this issue of what happened in Michael Cohen's testimony on Thursday under cross-examination is really interesting. And I've got the documents. That kind of back up and explain the deal. So this is Exhibit B165, and what it shows are the text messages between Michael Cohen and this is dated October 24, 2016. Michael Cohen and a then 14-year-old or so identified. Michael Cohen, this number has just been sent to Secret Service for your ongoing and continuous harassment to both my cell as well as to the organization's main line. By the way, we don't know what the harassment was. We only know that somebody's harassing Michael Cohen. Answer, it wasn't me. It wasn't me. No, it wasn't me. And then my friend told me to call. I'm sorry for this. I won't do it again. These are all separate texts. And then from Michael Cohen, you will need to explain this to Secret Service, as we have been receiving dozens of these harassing calls over the past 3 days. If you are a minor, I suggest you notify your parent or guardian. And then all cap response. Where is it? Down here. I didn't do it. I didn't do it. And then the best part, like, I'm 14. I'm only 14 years old. Please don't do this. So what the hell does this have to do with the hush money trial? What it has to do with the hush money trial is that when this reaches a boiling point for Michael Cohen, he calls Trump's body man, Keith Schiller. And he tells Schiller what's going on, and he wants the Secret Service involved in this. And in the phone conversation where he explains this to Keith Schiller, he has already told the jury, that's the call where I called Trump relative to Stormy Daniels, and he said, like, just do it, pay her. Well, how could it have been both things if it was a 90-second, 1 minute, 36-second telephone call? And when he first testified on Tuesday, when he discussed this call, he said nothing about the 14-year-old. So that was the high drama moment of, I got a big sneeze coming on. No, pardon me, I'm sorry. That was the high, Gesundheit, yeah, thank you. That was the high drama moment of cross-examination, where on Tuesday, he talked about the call and he said nothing about the 14-year-old. So now Todd Blanche gets up, cross-examines him, and it goes something like this. When you testified on Tuesday that you had a specific recollection that 1 minute, 36-second phone call on October 24 was not with Keith Schiller, that you called Keith Schiller and he passed the phone to President Trump, you finalized the deal with Stormy Daniels, and you said, we're going to move forward. And he said, yes, because you kept him informed all the time. That was your testimony, right? Answer, that's correct. Question, that was a lie. You were actually talking to Mr. Schiller about the fact that you were getting harassing phone calls from a 14-year-old, right? Answer, part of it was the 14-year-old, but I know that Keith was with Mr. Trump at the time, and there was more than potentially just this. That's what I recall based on the documents I reviewed. And then cross-examination. 5 minutes ago, I asked if you remembered harassing phone calls. You said no. And then it goes on and on and on. It's hard to glean from the transcript the significance of this in the trial, in the courtroom. I found most compelling the fact that Anderson Cooper was in the courtroom that day, comes on CNN and called it a devastating moment. So too did the analysts at MSNBC. Here's what I think. I think that in the end, the jury is going to totally call Michael Cohen's testimony a wash. I don't know how the case ends, but my gut tells me that if and when a juror or jurors are interviewed after it's all over, hey, of what significance was Michael Cohen? I think the answer is going to be, we just disregarded him. And the question is there enough evidence left beyond Michael Cohen for a conviction? So I'll talk to Ellie Honig about that today, but I was eager to show you all the actual documents. It's all publicly available if you just search long and hard for it. And then one more thing that I wanted to say, if I can find it. I wanted to tell you that today's poll question was very hard for me to craft. I knew that I wanted to talk about Justice Alito's wife, and I wasn't sure exactly how to frame the issue, because if I were to ask, should Justice Alito recuse himself on account of his wife flying the American flag upside down, my hunch is it'd be like 99-1 people would say yes. But I think it's more nuanced than that. If we take him at face value that it's his wife who did this, somebody else had a sign in the neighborhood, funny, neighborhood politics, right? And she was responding to that neighbor. Somebody called somebody a C word. The sign said F Trump. Well, here's my question. This is the way that I worded it. Should the spouse of a Supreme Court justice have to limit their personal political speech? What's the answer to that? Should the spouse of a Supreme Court justice, a partner, a spouse, have to limit their personal political speech? Love the way it ended up. I just had to go through a variety of different versions of it, but that's the issue that I'm trying to frame. Does she have to surrender? I'm not going to call it her First Amendment right, because it's really not a First Amendment issue, but does she have to surrender her speech right? Go vote at Smerconish.com on that poll question, okay? And watch the show today. It ought to be really, really interesting. We're going to cover a lot of ground on all the issues of the day. See you, everybody.